Hey guys, how are you tonight? I just wanted to pop on and talk to you about some things that have been going through my head like normal here. I keep thinking about in between zones and Venn diagrams for whatever reason. I go back to my college days and Dr. Grobman, if you're watching, thank you for this training in border zones and how people identify. And I was drawing out my little Venn diagram of myself here. So pretty much I went from a healthy state into being very sick into a healing state, and then I've gone back into a healthy state. So I kind of identify myself somewhere in here, but when I'm going through each stage, it's like, all right, what am I? Am I sick? Am I healing? Am I healthy? How do I really describe myself? And so I just wanted to share with you the thoughts about that and how do you identify. My dad really stopped me in my tracks one time when I was talking, and he was like, you've got to be careful about what you say, in that you're like introducing yourself like I'm Lyme disease basically, and sort of taper off of that. And it's like, I'm Anne Desjardins. I did have an experience with Lyme disease, but it is not me. The same with things like cancer or other illnesses. Do we really let those define our own identities? Or are we finding ourselves somewhere in that border zone? It's like, I feel like I'm a little bit of this, I'm a little bit of that, I'm a little bit of this, and I find myself here in the middle. And how does that really leave me feeling? And how do I really relate to the world from that space? I know just from getting better, I'm often questioning like, why did I get better? Why me? Like, why are these other people still sick and I've been able to heal myself? And where do I fit in then? And I think I've always had that question. It's like, where do I fit in? And I think many of us do have this question too. It doesn't even if we're sick, doesn't mean if we're sick or if we're healthy, because really when we're transitioning from any stage in life, from something from here to there, we're crossing in these border zones. We're existing in this space of this cross identity. And really, what does that mean? And how do we relate ourselves from that space to the world? So I think what has helped me a lot is just hearing other people's stories about these types of things. So like, again, why did I get better? And do people look at me like, screw her because she got better? Or are people genuinely happy? Like, I was always happy for people, and I'm assuming that people are genuinely happy for me, but then I would always have those inner thoughts of like, why couldn't I be better? Or like, when I was so sick, it's like, why am I so sick? And then I would have these like angry thoughts and identify more with being like a sick person. And so again, it's just kind of like teasing that out and really what does that mean to you, and how can you help yourself relate better when you're finding yourself crossing in these different zones. I don't know if this is really making sense to people, but I can just see it so clearly. It's like when we go from one space to the next, we sort of have to bridge that gap somehow, and it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable for a little while because we don't really know what we're doing. We're going from a place of like where we've been for so long. Like, I was sick for 7 years before I got better. So that was a lot of my life that identified as a sick person. And how do I transition myself then into being a healthy person and feeling comfortable with those thoughts of like, I'm healthy again and I feel great and I'm really happy that I've gotten here. How can I help others to learn from my experience? And that is through talking about it, through sharing experiences. Because again, when I got so sick, what helped me pull myself out of that was hearing people like myself saying that I did get better, and that it is possible. But I chose to sort of not identify solely with being sick. I think I identified more with healing. And so that would be another thing to think about is like, are you identifying with the right space? Maybe you should shift. Maybe, again, if you were sick, you're also healing. So you've got a foot in that circle that you can use to bridge over your identity and your thinking in your head. Like, I'm not sick, I'm healing. And that'll help to get into the healthier circle too, because they all do intersect. It's just a matter of like finding yourself in that right space to see the perspective and to identify that way. But again, when I was so sick, I would try so carefully to watch my thoughts and not identify solely with just being a sick person, but to again realize that I have other ways here that I exist in, and I've already been healthy too. That's the other thing to think about is like, I was healthy before I got sick. So my body should remember what it feels like to be healthy, And so I practice taking on that identity of the healthy person too, and bringing that in to like help myself bolster myself out of that space. But another image I have a lot about this is like, if we picture a chain of soldiers like going up over a wall, that's kind of the same thing. And we're all bridging that gap up that wall to help each other. And so by talking about this stuff, we can help that person who's like all the way down at the bottom come all the way up, hopefully to where we are too. And know that it is possible, if you're in that sick circle, to get yourself out of that into a different identity. And also do your best to stay fluid in this and not be a fixed identity. I think that's also another really big point that I'm trying to make here, is like, we are all part of everything. And so it's okay if you want to change your identity and link yourself to something else, because it does all cross intersect. So if you're sick, start thinking that you're healing and that you're healthy, and replace that verbiage of being sick with being healthy or more in a healthful state. And again, if you're in a stressed place or you're in some type of other different situation, you can apply that same metric. Like, okay, I'm stressed, but I would like to be over here in this circle and have some of this identity with me of being less stressed and being relaxed and being able to enjoy life a little bit more. So if you have questions on Venn diagrams, you can always look those up, but I think they're fun to just give a better visualization of really kind of where you are intersecting as a being, and really where are you in your own journey of identity. So like, it's taken me a long time to come to the realization that I'm in more healthy identity now, and that's really exciting. But I still have some of that sick, and I still have some of that healing there too, and I remember the sick so well, but it's almost like how crazily fast you can forget what sick was too once you get healthy. And that's really kind of where I find myself. And maybe that's the ultimate sign of healing, is when you're not necessarily truly able to remember the bad versus being in the good. That's the way I'm going to look at that, is that my identity has shifted now fully into the healthful state. And I'm very grateful for that, but I don't want to forget where I came from. And I just want to be able to help to bridge that gap more for people who are sick, to get themselves having more of a healthy identity. Have a great night, everybody. If you have thoughts about this, please feel free to leave comments. I love to hear what you're thinking about this and how you help yourself potentially bridge different identities that you're wearing, or different hats that you're wearing, different masks, different faces that we all have on, and how you balance those and find yourself to stay in the center, which is again balanced and typically going to be the most helpful state of all. Have a great night, everyone.